Good morning.
Good morning.
I have to tell you, I am so pumped up for this, and I don't remember being as pumped up, given all the things that I had to do in the last 5 years, than this, and also then chairing earlier on the ACRL's national conference. So I'm here, I'm pumped up, and I'm glad I'm able to kick off the day today. I also want to extend some thanks. Thanks to Ellen, again, for her leadership, to ALSC in general. I have to tell you folks, this division is doing more to really talk about diversity and what needs to be done than any other division that I'm aware of. I want to thank the Children's Book Council, Dollar General, again for their support, Chicago Public Library, and then Jamie. I want to thank Jamie and Allie for doing the planning, chairing the planning committee, and for the invitation to Keynote, but to Jamie for that awesome white paper. It was awesome, and if you haven't read the white paper that ALSC commissioned Jamie to do, you have to read it. So I was given the opportunity to pick a topic based on all the topics that are going to be discussed today. And in my usual multitasking mode, I wanted to do more than one. So I figured out how I could do that and tie them all together. So when I was settling on my thoughts, what I wanted to do is be able to provide the foundation in terms of why this event is so critical. And later on in my talk, you'll understand why I'm so pumped up about being involved in this. So also in that vein, I want to share a story with you, and I'm not one of the greatest storytellers, but hopefully I'll do this some justice. And it's about the depiction of Latino children in children's literature, then and now. And then I want to share with you why this event this morning is so important by sharing with you some data that backs, the reasons why I think it's so important. And then also 3 reasons for the importance of what you folks are doing today. And I really think this is groundbreaking. And I'm going to conclude my talk with talking to you about the family literacy projects that I am so proud of. And there are people in this room that have been involved in these projects. And it's the 5 ethnic affiliates who are involved, ALA ethnic affiliates who are involved. But I want to start by first saying that I want to say that I absolutely recognize and I support all forms of diversity. Gender diversity, differently abled, sexual orientation, etc. But I'm going to be concentrating in one area that I happen to know the best, and that's really ethnic and racial diversity. But what I share with you can be applied to any one of those diverse groups in terms of serving children in our libraries. There we go. So here's my story. And it's reflected in the main title of my talk, and that's From Broken Yokes to Party Folks. When I was in library school many moons ago, we were required to do a research paper, and the outline was due, and I couldn't come up with a topic, and I thought, I've got to have a topic. I have to have the outline due next week. So I went and talked to the professor, and I told her, I said, I can't come up with a topic. And she said, Camila, she said, go home and think about something that has bothered you or bothers you about our profession. It can be anything and everything. So I went home and immediately came up with something. When I went to library school, I was a children's librarian at K through 12 on an Indian reservation in New Mexico. And I remember that I was looking through the shelves and I found this book by Maria Etz. Some of us will remember who Maria Etz is. She was a Caldecott winner, and so I thought, oh, this is awesome. So I pulled it off the shelf, and the book title was Bad Boy, Good Boy. And so it's been out of a print for a while. But I read the book and I was really bothered. I was bothered by what I thought were negative stereotypes of a Mexican immigrant family living in East LA. So I shared the book with a fellow student, and she was from Westchester, New York, so need I say more? And she was also going to be a school, coming to get her MLS to be a school librarian. So I shared the story with her, and we decided we were going to do this paper together. And what we did was, our research was two-pronged. First, we were going to do a content analysis of the book, and we were going to look at all the words that were either negative or stereotypical about this family. And then the second prong was we were going to ask our fellow students to read the book and be part of this research project, to read the book, and then to fill out a questionnaire. And it was Noreen's role to keep me very objective in this research. And we wanted them to tell us whether or not, based on their survey, whether or not they thought that the book depicted the characters in a very negative and stereotypical way. And so they did, and I'll tell you the end of that story. Now, I want to take a detour here, just a little bit. Now, many of us have favorite foods, and many of us have interesting eating habits. For example, I love eggs. I absolutely love eggs. And every time that my husband and I sit down to have breakfast and there's eggs, he'll say, "I know, you love eggs." So when I eat, so that's one of my favorite foods. But my sort of distinctive eating habit is when I eat eggs, I'm a poker. Okay? I grew up poking my eggs with either day-old biscuits or tortillas or toast. And I poke, I'm talking past tense, but really it's present tense. Because I just had an egg this morning. And when I'm eating out, I will ask whoever I'm with, "Do you mind if I poke my egg?" Because I don't want them to think I don't have manners. And if they said yes, I'd still poke them, but nonetheless. And so what I do is I poke the yolk of the eggs with whatever bread I have. And then I leave just a little bit of yolk left so that then I can mix up the white with the yolk. So needless to say, my eggs have to either be sunny side up or over easy, but no broken yolks. Repeat after me. No broken yolks. I couldn't find the book. I could not find the book. And I was really kind of glad. I did a search in the DPL, and they have numerous branches, and nobody had the book. But we found it actually in an LIS program that had it in their kitty lit section. So this book is loaded with stereotypes. Machismo at its worst. A Mexican immigrant father portrayed negatively as an abusive head of household male with a short-fused temper. A mother working as a cook and as domestic help because when she left, she went to work for a white family and learned to cook there. An ornery Mexican child. And then the heroes in this book was the white policeman and the white daycare center teacher. So when I ran the book by the Council on Interracial Books for Children, the CIBC, some of you are familiar with their 10 ways to analyze children's books for racism and sexism. This book failed all of the criteria. And so that's one of the reasons why for this event, it's important to discuss the issue of not enough children's books depicting minority children in stories. But Bad Boy, Good Boy is a good example of how poorly minorities were depicted in children's literature. Now I want to present another book. And I want to present a popular children's book series by Gary Soto. And anybody familiar with Chato? Who's familiar with Chato? I love Chato. I absolutely love Chato. Those of you who are not familiar with Chato, Chato is the coolest cat in East LA. And Gary Zotto, I think he's probably going to do a Chato series book in his series every 5 years, because every 5 years he's come up with a book. It's Chato's Kitchen, which is a wonderful story, Chato and the Party Animals, Chato Goes Cruising, and Chato and the Day of the Dead. So my favorite is Chato and the Party Animals. So when I ran this book and the other Chato books by the CIBC criteria, they all passed. All of the books in the Chato series are uplifting, and they depict our culture in a more positive way than Bad Boy, Good Boy. So I share these two books with you in the spirit of the event's purpose today, to share our experiences and ideas of how to move the diversity needle forward in children's literature. And what a big difference in these two books in the depiction of a particular minority group. But the issue is not having enough children's literature dealing with diversity still remains. And let me share with you some data that demonstrates this issue. The University of Wisconsin-Madison, the University of Wisconsin-Madison School of Education has the Cooperative Children's Book Center, the CCPC, or BC. And I think KT Horning is one of our panelists today. Anyway, this particular graph shows the number of children's books that were written in 2002, approximately, and the one number that was written in 2013. And here, if you'll notice, and these are children's books about people of color. In 2002, the books about African Americans and Africans, there were 166 written. In 2013, only 93. That's a 43% percentage change decrease. In 2002, with Native Americans and American Indians, 64. In 2013, 34. That's a minus 46% change decrease. Asian Pacific Americans, 91 in 2002. In 2013, 69. And that was a minus 24 percentage change decrease. And then Latinos, 94 in 2002 and 57 in 2013, and that's a minus 39% percentage increase. So why is this also important? And why, hopefully, are we all here today? And I think there's 3 reasons that I'm going to give you. One of them is what I call the overarching reason. That is that literacy among our young minority children is critical and can lead to their successful development, can lead to them being successful in general, and also lead to a good future. And I honestly believe that. The more children that can read about their culture, about their race, their ethnicity, about whatever diversity that they represent, the more likely they are to read more. Let me share with you, because I'm going to present some dots and connect the dots. Literacy, the second reason why I think this is so important, is literacy lessens the reading achievement gaps. But, not today. The NAEP, which is National Assessment of Educational Progress, does these reading tests, reading surveys. And in 2013, they did one. And what they found out was the average score did not change from the last assessment in 2009. And the average score is, were they average in the scale of really bad scores to really good scores. But even worse, the scores in 2013 decreased from the first assessment that they did in 1992. I find that absolutely startling. Absolutely startling. And more power to ALSC for doing something, and the planning committee, every leadership for doing this day of diversity, dialogue, and action. And also more power for you folks for being here. And in fact, in these scores, in 2013, in the NAEP scores, only 38% of the folks scored higher, on or above the proficient level. And there's some levels above proficiency. Hispanics scored 23%. That meant only 23% of the Latinos scored on or above the proficiency level. 16% of African Americans scored on or above the proficiency level. I was really pleased with this data, because it was better than the other two. Native Americans, Alaskan Natives scored 26% on or above. Asian Pacific Islanders scored tied with our white folks on or above, and that was 47%. So the bottom line here is that children's literature that reflects a child's race, ethnicity, and culture can only add to their reading interest. So we need more of the genre of diversity in literature, whether it's print or in digital form. Let me share just some more data real fast. 30% of high school students drop out before graduation. 50% of those dropouts are Latinos and African Americans. American Indian and Native American students have a dropout rate twice the national average. 3 out of 10 Native students drop out of school before graduating, and this statistic means that this includes those living on the res and those living off the res. And then Asian Pacific Islander students who struggle in school often fail to get the attention and resources they need. So that ties me to the third reason, and that is why this is also important today. And that is the U.S. Census minority population. In 2000, we had 280 million people. In the 2010 census, we hit the 300 million at 308. In 2000, almost 31% of the population were people of color. And in 2010, 36% of the total population were people of color, which was about a 29% percentage change increase. The South and the West, in terms of regions, accounted for 84% of that growth. So you can kind of figure out the ethnicities and the races in those areas. And then the Latino population accounted for more than 1/2 of the 36.3% increase, or 27.3 million. So I'm willing to say, using common sense, that if children of color's reading interests or other diverse children's reading interests are met, they will read. And if these children read more, then the NAEP scores will be affected. And this is all important because we want the emerging majority population that's growing to be more literate than they are now. And our data shows that we're not doing that well. So I want to connect all of these with libraries and talk about the family literacy focus program that's going on. And this is a program that I started during my presidency. And I have to give Pat Mora credit for this. Pat, who's the creator of DIA, I have to give her credit for this because when we were in Santa Fe celebrating my election, I told her that I was really concerned because I had promised ALSC, I had promised YALSA, and I had promised AASL that if I was elected, I would not forget them. So what does a happy academic library administrator know about children, about young adult services and children's literature? But I have to tell you that it was Pat's enthusiasm for the literacy efforts that need to be done among children and her encouragement to make me go beyond my comfort zone as an academic library administrator and develop an initiative to address minority children literacy. And that is called the ALA Family Literacy Focus. And all of the 5 ethnic affiliates are involved in this. ALA, APALA, Black Caucus, KALA, and Reforma. And I'm just going to describe these briefly. ALA and PALA have a real strong program that's going again. All of these are going strong 5 years later. Theirs is called Talking Stories or Talk Stories. And the program celebrates, it's a literacy program that reaches out to Asian Pacific Americans in the community and also American Indian and Alaska Natives. And they have been successful in getting funding from Toyota to support these programs. And these programs are all available on the ALA website. All you have to do is just put the name of the program in and you'll come up with their URL. Black Caucus came up with Reading is Grand, and this celebrates the important role grandparents play in children's lives. And in the past several years, the Black Caucus Board has approved funding for Reading is Grand to continue. KALA does Day Day Chong Chuan, and this is, Day Day means bag, and it refers to the passing of the knowledge from one generation, day, to another. And this one targets immigrant families and families with adopted children who've come from China or Chinese-speaking countries. And the KALA board this past year voted to continue funding this literacy project. And then the last one is Noche de Cuentos, and this is the Reforma's one. And it's a multifaceted initiative that aims to create awareness and understanding of the importance of the oral tradition in Latino culture and to preserve and promote the art of storytelling for our Latino communities. They also have a website. And they offer Noche de Cuentos programming at Midwinter and at ALA every year. This Sunday, it's at 8 o'clock at the Hyatt Regency, Grand D North. Saturday. Oh, thank you. Saturday. Okay. Oh, I'm going to have to check the schedule now. Okay, so let me get back to from broken yokes to party folks. I think we've made great strides in the depiction of diversity in children's materials, but we really have to continue family literacy programs like the FLF projects, and these are available to any library that is interested in competing, in doing these programs. But let me talk just a little bit about challenges and opportunities. First, the challenges. More than 90 million adults read at or below the basic reading level. This is not NAEP, this is in general literacy. More than 11 million adults are non-literate in English. Parents and grandparents are the child's first teacher. So that's why we made this initiative family literacy projects, because we wanted the family, the parents and the grandparents to be involved. So a child's success in school can depend on the adult literacy level of the folks at home that are working with them. Now, in terms of opportunities, I'm hoping that we can, at this particular day of dialogue, can reach across generations and cultures through our libraries, hoping that we can build strong literacy practices in diverse communities through our local libraries, hoping to step up and develop literacy multicultural programs and collecting more multicultural materials, hoping to proliferate this particular genre, all diversity materials for children by authors and by potential or future authors. And then also really encouraging publishers to commit to publishing more diverse multicultural materials, print and digital. Think of the data that I shared with you, the NAEP data, the census data, the adult literacy data. It just makes common sense to me that we have to concentrate. And the best place to do this is in our public libraries and in our schools. That's why a day like today is so important. And what I want to do is to thank you, but I want to end with a quote that I found. And this was in the LA Times, and they had written an article on a children's literacy initiative. And the quote is, "No skill is more crucial to the future of a child or to a democratic and prosperous society than literacy." Today, I think, is groundbreaking, and I'm hoping that each and every one of you go back and really, be advocates for children's literacy in diversity. We have to do it. We have to get these kids so that they're reading at a level such that they can be prosperous residents in this country. The data shows that we're not doing well, folks, especially with the children's K through 12 reading levels. So I encourage you to move forward. This is a day of dialogue, but it's also a day of action. And again, I want to thank Al for taking the leadership. Thank you so much.